Please welcome Matt Booth.
I DJ'd my first wedding when I was 16 years old. That was in 1987. I've done almost over 2,000 weddings in that time, in facilities just like this. What I've learned is that at weddings, attitude plays a huge deal, doesn't it, at a wedding? And I've also learned in almost 2,000 weddings, as we all know, a wedding is for two very special people, right? The bride and the bride's mother. It's true. One of the first big weddings that I did, the couple was about to cut into the cake at the cake table. And it was beautiful, and they were just about to cut into it. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw a flash. And here comes running a 7 or 8-year-old boy. Runs right past me like crazy, right past the bride and groom, gets right in front of the cake, and he gets hip checked by a bridesmaid into the cake table. The cake starts swaying, and it falls off the floor, off the table, right on the floor at the feet of the bride and groom. And when something like that happens at a wedding, everybody turns and looks at the bride. And the bride has a decision to make. She has a choice very quickly about her attitude towards the event that just happened. This bride started crying. And when a bride cries at a wedding, every other woman at a wedding cries. And about 30 seconds later, a lot of the guys in the place were tearing up a little bit, because we know what happens when our wives and girlfriends, or what doesn't happen when our wives and girlfriends cry at weddings. This bride knew that her cake falling was going to ruin her entire wedding, and she said it. So they cleaned up the cake, and they sat the head table and the wedding party up at the head table. And now it's the father of the bride's turn to welcome all of the guests to the wonderful celebration as his daughter is crying, right? Then it's the best man and the maid of honor's turn to give a speech about a successful marriage, right? None of those went very well. There was an ice sculpture in the corner of the hall, a beautiful ice sculpture. Was it one of those swans of love? You looked at it, you could see it melting as we looked at it. The flowers, the decoration, the flowers were wilting right in front of our faces, all because of the bride's choice about her wedding cake. The food, when they brought the food, it didn't taste very good. Right? The beer was warm and skunky. The beer. And when we cleared the dance floor for dancing, it didn't matter what song I played. It didn't matter what I did. No one wanted to dance. I played the chicken dance 5 times. Looking back, that might have been part of the problem, but no one wanted to dance. No one wanted to dance. You see, attitude plays a big deal at big events, but not just big events, everyday ordinary events as well. You see, right now, more than ever, attitude is important because we live in a world full of negativity. It's like a huge iceberg is floating into our homes of negativity. I mean, daily we have an IV drip of like negative stuff. There's been beheadings in the world for thousands of years, hasn't there? But now, where are the beheadings? They're coming out of your screens. You see, this is why it's important to talk about attitude and think about people's attitude around you, right? And it's okay to have one of those days. Nobody can be positive 100% of the time. I mean, bad stuff happens. It's called life, right? But you've got to try to be positive as much as possible. 10 years after that fateful wedding cake, right? I was doing another wedding, very similar. 300 guests, about like this. The cake had already been cut. And it was beautiful. And there was a 17 or 18-year-old boy. I don't think it was the same boy, but it would have been the same age. His job was to take the cake off the table, put it on a cart, wheel it over to the kitchen across the dance floor so that they could cut it into pieces and serve it to the guests. So he gets it on the cart successfully, and he's wheeling it across the dance floor right in front of the entire wedding party, right? And he's wheeling it across the dance floor right in front of the bride and groom. The cart hits an orange power cord that's set up for the video montage after dinner. Well, this boy holds onto the cart, but not the cake. And the cake goes falling on the floor right in front of the bride and groom. And when something like that happens at a wedding, everybody turns and looks at the bride. See, and she has a choice to make, doesn't she? On her attitude. And she looks at the cake, and she looks at the kid again. This is the best wedding cake I've ever had. In about 30 seconds, the entire wedding party is gathered around the cake, and they're scooping up cake. And they're eating cake off of the dirty dance floor. About a minute later, guests are coming from the crowd with napkins and spoons, and they're scooping up cake. I got a napkin, right? And I got a piece of cake. Now, I didn't eat the cake. I know what happens on dance floors. I know how they got dirty, right? But it was amazing. I mean, people came from everywhere. They cleared up the cake, sat them down for the table. Now it's time for the father of the bride to give a toast. How cool would that be? Best man, maid of honor, boom, knocked it out of the park, right? The ice sculpture. 18 years later, that's still in their living room. It's like it's got its own scene from Frozen, like the little snowflakes over it. The flowers were so beautiful. Badger colors. They were amazing. The food, in almost 2,000 weddings, I remember the food from that reception, right? And the beer, you could almost not hold it. It was so cold and frosty and yummy. And when we opened the dance floor, everyone danced. I didn't even have to play the chicken dance, right? And even the guy in the back, who's been married to his wife for 35 years, and he hadn't danced since his wedding day, he said, well, if she can eat cake off the floor, I'm going to dance at least one song to Anne Murray. You see, we all have choices to make on attitude, don't we? In 10 years, I've spoken all around the world hundreds of times, and to all sorts of audiences. And I love to speak on attitude, communication, goal setting, and chasing your dreams, right? If you would like some more information about that, I want you to see Holly or Sonia, or on the break, come talk to me at the cake table, if you'd like to. And it is my hope that the next time you need to make a choice on your attitude, whether it would be a big event like a wedding, or just an average everyday event like road rage getting to a speaker showcase. It's my hope that when that time comes, that you remember the wedding cake.